Hello, my dear friend. Welcome to VUS, Learning English Podcast. I'm so happy you are here today. My name is Anna, and I will be your friend and guide on our journey today. If this is your first time here, welcome. A very warm welcome to you. And if you are a returning listener, thank you for coming back. It is always wonderful to have you with us. Today, we are going to talk about something special. It is a topic for everyone who loves to learn. It is for everyone who loves to read. We will learn how to remember the things we read. We will learn a system for remembering everything. Does that sound good? I think it sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me today. I am truly grateful. Before we begin, I want to invite you to do something small. If you enjoy our time together, please think about following or subscribing to our channel. It is a small click for you, but it helps our community grow. It helps us reach more English learners just like you all around the world. Thank you. Now I have a question for you. Where are you listening from today? Are you in a big city or a quiet town? Are you in Asia, Europe, America, Africa? Wherever you are, I am sending you a warm hello. I am happy we can connect in this moment. Okay, are you ready to begin? Let's take a nice, slow breath. Wonderful. Let's start. Imagine this. You finish a book, you close the cover, you feel a happy feeling. It is a feeling of accomplishment. You did it. You finished a whole book. You spent hours reading. Maybe you spent many days reading. You learned so many new things. You feel good. You feel smart. Then 1 week passes. A friend asks you a question. What was that book about? You stop. You think. You remember the name of the book. You remember the author's name. Maybe you remember a feeling, a happy feeling or a serious feeling. But what about the big ideas? What about the important stories? What about the good advice you wanted to use? It is gone. It has disappeared. It is like a fog in your mind. Does this sound like something you know? Maybe you have read 100 books. Maybe you have read many, many articles online. But if I ask you about them, it is hard to remember. Maybe you can only remember 10%. Maybe less. This feels sad. It is frustrating. It makes you think, am I really learning? Is this working? It feels like you have a bucket for water, but the bucket has a small hole. It is a leaky bucket. You spend so much time. You spend so much energy. You are pouring water into the bucket. You are filling it up. But when you need the water, you look inside, and the bucket is empty. All the knowledge has leaked away. This is a very common feeling. So please do not worry. You are not alone. Here's the problem. The problem is not you. The problem is how we learn to learn. Most of us were taught the wrong way. We believe that learning is about getting more. Read more books, read faster, listen to more podcasts. We download apps to read faster. We listen to audiobooks at 2 times speed. We think success is about how much we consume. But what if this is all wrong? What if the secret to remembering is not about reading more? What if it is not about reading faster? What if the secret is a simple system? A system with 2 steps. The world's best learners use this system. They use it to turn information into real knowledge. Knowledge that stays with you. Knowledge that you can use. This is not magic. It is a method. It is a system. This system will help you remember what you read, and it will help you use that knowledge to make your life better. Stay with me, listen closely, and I will show you this system. We will say goodbye to the old broken ways, and we will build a new way, a new framework for learning. This new way will help you remember. You will not waste your time reading anymore. Every book you read will become a part of you. Section 1. The Big Lie About Learning. To build a new good system, we must first understand the old bad system. We have to see why it does not work. Our world today loves a big lie. It is a myth about learning. The lie is this: learning is the same as consuming. We think more is better. We think faster is smarter. We hear stories about famous people. They read one book every day, and we feel like we are slow. We feel like we are behind. I call this the consumption-only model. It is like you are only eating, but never digesting your food. It is the way almost everyone learns. It is our default setting. You read a book from the first page to the last page. You close the book, you put it on a shelf, then you pick up the next book. The process is always moving forward. You are passive. You are just receiving. It is all about input. And this is exactly why you forget almost everything. It is the reason the bucket is always leaky. Let's think about your brain in a new way. Your brain is not a computer. It is not a hard drive where you save files. Think of your brain like a garden. A beautiful green garden. Information is like a seed. You cannot just throw seeds on the ground. If you do that, what happens? Maybe 1 or 2 seeds will grow just by luck, but most of the seeds will be blown away by the wind or washed away by the rain. To make a garden grow, you must be careful. You must plant each seed in the soil. You must give it water. You must give it sun. You must help it connect to the other plants in the garden. When you just read and read and read, you are throwing seeds on the ground. You are not giving the information a chance to grow. You are not helping it connect to what you already know. That is why 1 week later, the book is gone from your mind. The information was never truly planted. Now, what about speed reading? In our garden idea, speed reading is like using a fire hose. Imagine a big, powerful fire hose. You spray water everywhere very fast. Yes, you cover a lot of ground, but you are not gentle. You are not careful. You are blasting the seeds away. You are not giving any single seed the attention it needs. Your eyes move fast. You see the words, but your mind is not really thinking. Your mind is not connecting. Real learning needs you to be slow. It needs you to be deep. It needs you to pause, to think about an idea, to ask questions about it. Speed reading teaches you to be a skimmer. You only touch the surface. It does not teach you to be a deep thinker. Then there is cramming. This is what students often do before a big test. They try to force a lot of information into their brain in one night. And maybe it works. For the test, you can remember the information for one day. But what happens 1 week later? It is all gone, completely gone. This is a famous idea in psychology. It is called the forgetting curve. A scientist named Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered this. He showed that we forget things very, very quickly. We forget at an exponential rate. This means you forget a lot in the first hour. Then you forget more the next day, and more the day after that. We forget unless we do something. We must actively work to remember. Cramming is only using your short-term memory. It is like holding water in your hands. You can hold it for a short time, but it will slip through your fingers very soon. This old way of learning leads to a bad feeling. I call it mental vomiting. It is a strange name, I know, but think about it. You consume and consume and consume. You read more, watch more, listen more. Your brain feels full. It feels bloated. It has too much information. So, to protect itself, your brain just lets it all go. It purges the information. You feel like you know a lot, but you are actually starving for real knowledge. You have a lot of information, but no understanding. The problem with this whole way of learning is simple. It only focuses on the first half of learning. It is like a chef. Imagine a chef who goes to the market. He buys the best vegetables, the freshest fish, the most wonderful spices. He has the best ingredients. But then he never cooks them. He just leaves them on the counter. The potential for a delicious meal is there, but it is wasted. To truly remember what you read, you must do the second half. You need to move beyond a one-step process. You need a system with 2 steps. You need a 2-stage system. The 2 stages are consumption and digestion. Let me say that again, consumption and digestion. Section 2. The 2-stage system, consumption and digestion. So, what is the fix? The answer is not to read less. You can still read many books. You can still learn many things. The secret is to change your relationship with what you read. It is about how you read and what you do after you read. The secret is to find a balance, a rhythm, a dance between 2 things. Taking information in and processing that information. This is the heart of the 2-stage system. For every time you consume, you need a time to digest. Let's think about eating a meal again. This is a very simple and powerful idea. Putting food in your mouth is easy. That is consumption. But where does the energy come from? Where does the nourishment come from? It does not come from just eating. It comes from digestion. Digestion is when your body breaks the food down. It turns the food into energy. It turns the food into building blocks for your body. If you do not have digestion, eating is useless. It has no point. Learning is exactly the same. Exactly. Let's look at the 2 stages. Stage 1, the consumption period. This is the first stage. This is the part you already know well. This is reading the book, watching the video, listening to the podcast. But we are going to do it in a new way, a different way. We are not empty buckets waiting to be filled. No, we are active hunters. We are searching for knowledge. The goal is not to get through the book. The goal is not to finish it as fast as possible. The new goal is to find specific, valuable things. So first, you must read with a purpose. You need a reason to read. Before you open a nonfiction book, a book of ideas, ask yourself a question. What problem am I trying to solve? Or, what question do I need an answer to? Maybe you want to learn how to wake up earlier. Maybe you want to understand a problem at your job. Maybe you want to learn how to be a better friend. This question is now your guide. It is your filter. It turns reading from a passive activity into an active search. You are on a mission. This also means you can stop reading books from start to finish. You do not have to read every page in order. Instead, think of the book like a database or like a library. You are there to find an answer. So look at the table of contents first. This is the map of the book. Read the introduction. The introduction tells you the main idea. Then read the conclusion. The conclusion tells you the summary. After that, you can jump. Jump straight to the chapters that are most important for your question. This saves you time, and it keeps you focused on your goal. Now, let's talk about how you capture ideas. What you do when you find something interesting. Most people use a highlighter. They make the pages yellow or pink or blue. The page looks colorful. It looks like you did a lot of work, but this is not very useful. Highlighting is a passive activity. It feels like you are doing something important, but you are not really thinking. Later, when you look at the highlighted page, everything seems important. And when everything is important, nothing is important. The active way is much better. The active way is to have a conversation with the author. Use a pen or a pencil. Write in the margins of the book. When an idea is exciting, write down your thought. If you disagree with the author, write down why. If an idea connects to something you already know, write down the connection. A book that you have truly learned from should not be clean. It should not be perfect. It should be a little messy. It should be a record of your thinking, a record of your conversation with the book. This active way of consuming sets you up perfectly for the next stage, the most important stage, the stage that 90% of people skip. Stage 2, the digestion period. This is where the magic happens. If consumption is like buying the ingredients, digestion is like cooking the meal. This is where you turn information into knowledge. This is where real learning happens. It is the process of taking your notes, your thoughts, your ideas, and turning them into something organized, something you can use. If you skip this stage, you will forget. This is the reason we forget. We buy the food, but we never cook it. The digestion period is not just one activity. It is a framework, a system. Why? Because not all information is the same. Learning a recipe is different from learning about history. Learning a math formula is different from learning a philosophy. You need to use the right tool for the right job. So for this, we will use a special tool. It is a framework I call the PACER framework. PACER is a word. P-A-C-E-R. Each letter stands for a type of information and a way to digest it. Let me say the letters again. P-A-C-E-R. By using a special process for each type of information, you will learn much better. You will remember so much more. Let's break it down. Let's learn about PACER together. Section 3. The PACER Framework for Perfect Recall. Welcome to the PACER Framework. This is the heart of our new learning system. It is our guide for the digestion period. Remember, PACER stands for 5 types of information. Let's go through them one by one. P is for procedural. First, we have the letter P. P is for procedural. What does procedural mean? It is a big word, but the idea is simple. Procedural information is how-to knowledge. It is a set of steps, a method, a technique. Think about a recipe for a cake. That is procedural. It tells you how to bake a cake. Think about the steps for a yoga pose. That is procedural. It tells you how to do the pose. Think about a tutorial that shows you how to use a new app on your phone. That is procedural. It tells you how to use the app. This kind of information is all about action. It is about doing something. Now, here's the big mistake most people make. They try to memorize procedural information. They read the steps. They write the steps in a notebook. They make flashcards with the steps. They think, if I can remember the steps, I will know how to do it. This is a complete waste of time. It does not work. The digestion process for procedural information is not memorization. The digestion process is practice. Let me say that again. Practice. You cannot learn how to swim by reading a book about swimming. It is impossible. You must get in the water. You cannot learn to play the guitar by watching videos of people playing guitar. You must pick up a guitar and play it. Procedural knowledge must live in your body, in your muscle memory, not just in your brain. So from now on, when you read about a process, do this. Stop reading and start doing. If a book explains a new way to listen to people, a technique for active listening, your job is to use it. Practice it in your very next conversation with your friend, with your family. If you learn a new keyboard shortcut for your computer, don't just write it down. Open the program and use the shortcut. Use it right now. Use it 3 times. Doing it immediately is very important. Immediacy is key. The longer you wait between learning and doing, the more you will forget. If you cannot practice it right now, that is okay, but do not just highlight it. Schedule it. Open the calendar on your phone. Make an appointment with yourself. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., I will practice the new yoga pose. The goal is to make a short, tight loop. Learn how, do how, learn how, do how. This changes your thinking. You stop thinking, I need to remember this. And you start thinking, I need to do this. This is the way to learn procedural knowledge. This is P. A is for analogous. Next, we have the letter A. A is for analogous. This is another big word. Let's make it simple. Analogous information is about making a connection. It connects a new idea to an idea you already understand. It builds a bridge. A bridge from the known to the unknown. For example, a teacher wants to explain electricity. Electricity is invisible. It is hard to understand. So the teacher says, electricity flowing in a wire is like water flowing in a pipe. This is an analogy. You understand water in a pipe. You can see it in your mind. So now you can understand electricity a little better. Analogies are very, very powerful for learning. Why? Because our brains are connection machines. Our brains love to connect things. We learn new things by attaching them to the web of knowledge we already have in our minds. The stronger the connection, the stronger the memory. An analogy is a pre-made connection. So what is the digestion process for analogous information? Do you just accept the analogy and move on? No, that is too passive. The digestion process for analogous information is critique. Critique is another big word. It just means to ask questions, to look at it closely, to think about it deeply. When you find an analogy in a book, do not just read it. Interrogate it. Ask it 3 questions. Question 1. How is this analogy correct? Where does the comparison work well? For our electricity and water pipe analogy, both have pressure. Voltage is like water pressure. Both have a flow rate. Electric current is like the flow of water. Thinking about this helps you understand the new idea better. Question 2. How is this analogy not correct? This question is often more important. Where does the comparison break down? What are the limits? For our example, water is made of molecules that actually flow through the pipe. But electrons in a wire do not really flow like that. They just move a little bit. Understanding this stops you from having wrong ideas. It makes your understanding much deeper and more accurate. Question 3. Can I create a better analogy? This is the highest level of thinking. Try to make your own analogy, an analogy that is more accurate or more personal to you. To do this, you must truly understand the new concept. It forces your brain to work hard and make strong connections. So when a book says, a business is like a sports team, critique it. Ask your questions. How is it similar? They have a shared goal to win. They have different people with different roles. How is it different? In business, the game never ends. In business, you can lose your job, which is much more serious than being traded to another team. Doing this turns a simple comparison into a powerful tool for deep, deep understanding. This is A. C is for conceptual. Next, we have the letter C. C is for conceptual. Conceptual information is the main part of knowledge. It is the big ideas. It answers the what questions and the why questions. It is about theories, principles, and big frameworks. For example, the idea of supply and demand in economics. That is a concept. A philosophy like Stoicism. That is a conceptual framework. This is usually the most important information in a nonfiction book. These are the big lessons the author wants to share. So how do most people learn concepts? They read them in a straight line. They take notes in a list from top to bottom, just like the author wrote it. But this is like trying to understand a big city by only walking down one single street. You see the buildings on that one street, but you do not see the whole city. You do not see how the streets connect. You do not see the big picture. Experts do not think in lists. Experts think in networks. They see connections. They see relationships. So, the digestion process for conceptual information is mapping. What does that mean? It means you draw a map of the ideas, a mind map. Instead of taking notes in a list, do this. Take a blank piece of paper. Write the main concept, the central idea, in the middle of the page. Draw a circle around it. Then, as you read, find the main supporting ideas. Draw a line from your central circle and write a supporting idea. Circle it too. Then, as you find smaller ideas that support that idea, branch out again, draw more lines, add more words. Use lines and arrows to show how the ideas are connected. How does one idea influence another? Do two ideas contradict each other? This process forces you to build your own mental model. You're not just copying the author's words. You're building the author's argument in your own way. If you make a mind map for a book about economics, you should be able to see supply, demand, and price on your map. And you should see the arrows that connect them. You can see with one look that if supply goes down, price goes up. The act of drawing this map changes you. You are not a passive reader anymore. You are an intellectual cartographer, a map maker of knowledge. You are creating your own guide to the ideas, and this makes it so much easier to remember. This is C. E is for evidence. Next, we have the letter E. E is for evidence. Evidence is the information that supports the concepts. It is the proof. It includes things like statistics, numbers, and percentages. case studies, real-life stories, historical examples, scientific results. The concept is exercise is good for your brain. The evidence is a study in the year 2018 found that people who exercise 3 times a week had a 30% lower risk of cognitive decline. The concept is the big idea. The evidence is the fact that proves it. What is the mistake people make with evidence? They try to memorize all of it. As they are reading, they try to remember the dates, the percentages, the names of the studies. This is not a good use of your brain's energy. It clogs up your mind with small details. It distracts you from the main concept. So, what is the right way? The digestion process for evidence is to store and rehearse. It has 2 parts. First, store. Your job is not to memorize the evidence right now. Your job is to capture it, to save it. The best way to do this is to use a second brain. What is a second brain? It is a place outside of your head where you keep information. It could be a digital app like Notion or Evernote or Google Keep, or it could be a physical notebook system. When you find a powerful statistic or a great story, do not force it into your head. Instead, take it out of the book, copy it into your second brain, and then tag it. Give it a label. For example, you can tag the exercise fact with exercise and brain health. This does something amazing. It frees your brain. Your mind can relax. It knows the information is safe. Now it can focus on understanding the big concept. That is the first part, store. But storing is not enough. The second part is rehearse. Rehearsal means actively using the evidence later. You retrieve it. You pull it out from your second brain. This is not about memorizing it word for word. It is about using it. How can you rehearse? You could try to explain the concept to a friend. When you do, you can open your notes and find the specific statistic to support your point. Or you could write a short summary of what you learned. This will force you to go back to your notes, find the evidence you stored, and use it in your writing. This 2-step process store and rehearse is much better than trying to memorize on the spot. It respects how our long-term memory works. Our memory gets stronger when we retrieve information again and again over time. This is E. R is for reference. Finally, we have the letter R. R is for reference. Reference information is the smallest, most specific type of knowledge. These are single, discrete facts. For example, the value of pi to 5 decimal places, 3.14159. The correct spelling of a difficult word. The exact definition of a legal term. A specific date in history. People waste so many hours trying to memorize this kind of information. They use brute force. They repeat it again and again. This is the least efficient way to use your learning time. It is very slow and very boring. The digestion process for reference information is similar to evidence. It is store and rehearse, but with a special, powerful tool. The digestion process is store and rehearse with spaced repetition. First, store. Just like with evidence, you do not memorize it on the spot. You find a piece of reference information you need to know, you extract it, and you store it in a flashcard system. You can use physical paper index cards, but it is much, much more powerful to use a special app, an app called a spaced repetition system, or SRS. A famous SRS app is called Anki, A-N-K-I. What is an SRS? It is a smart flashcard program. It is very clever. It shows you a flashcard just before you are about to forget it. How does it know? It uses an algorithm based on the forgetting curve. When you first learn a fact, it might show you the card again in 1 minute. If you remember it, it will wait 10 minutes. If you remember it again, it will wait 1 day, then 4 days, then 2 weeks, and so on. The time between reviews gets longer and longer. This is by far the most efficient method science has discovered for memorizing facts. It is incredibly powerful. The process is very simple. While you are reading, you find a fact you need to memorize. For example, the definition of a new word. You open your SRS app on your phone. You create a new flashcard. It takes 10 seconds. On the front of the card, you write the question. What is the definition of ephemeral? On the back, you write the answer. Lasting for a very short time. Then you go back to reading. Your mind is still fresh. You did not waste energy trying to cram the fact. That is the store part. Then you rehearse. You do this by following the schedule your SRS app gives you. Just spend 10 or 15 minutes each day reviewing your cards. The app will tell you which cards to review. You are separating the act of understanding, which you do when you read, from the act of memorizing, which you do with your SRS. This allows you to do both things much, much better. This is R. So that is the PACER framework. P for procedural, practice it. A for analogous, critique it. C for conceptual, map it. E for evidence, store and rehearse it. R for reference, store and rehearse it with an SRS. This is your toolkit for digestion. Now let's put everything together into a simple workflow. Section 4, putting it all together, your new learning workflow. Okay, we have our new system. We have our 2 big stages, consumption and digestion. And we have our powerful PACER framework for digestion. So what does this look like in real life? How do you use this every day? Let me give you a simple step-by-step workflow. A new routine for learning? Step 1, the pre-reading ritual. This happens before you even open the book. It only takes 2 minutes. Before you read, stop. Ask yourself one important question. What specific question do I want this book to answer for me? Write this question down in a notebook or on a piece of paper. This question is now your North Star. It is your guide. It will keep you focused. Step 2, active consumption. Now you can start reading, but you are not a passive reader anymore. You are a hunter. You are hunting for answers to your question. Scan the table of contents. Jump to the chapters that seem most relevant to your question. Read those first. And keep your pen in your hand. Your pen should always be moving. You're having a conversation with the book. Write your thoughts in the margins. Ask your own questions. Note connections to your own life. And as you read, you can start to label the information in your mind. You can think, oh, this is a how-to guide. This is procedural. This is a big idea. This is conceptual. This is a story used as an example. This is evidence. This mental tagging prepares you for the next steps. Step 3. The immediate recap. This step is very important and very simple. When you finish reading for the day, do not just put the book away. Do not close the book and pick up your phone. Instead, close the book. And for just 5 minutes, do this. Force yourself to summarize what you just read. Say it out loud. Speak to yourself. What were the most important ideas? What was the biggest takeaway? Or you can scribble a few bullet points on a piece of paper. This simple act of immediate recall is so powerful. It is the very first step of digestion. It starts moving the information from your weak, fragile, short-term memory into your strong, deep, long-term storage. Do not skip this 5-minute step. Step 4, the digestion session. This is the main event. This is where you cook the meal. You should schedule this session. Maybe you do it later in the day or maybe the next morning. Schedule a dedicated digestion session. This is where you use the PACER framework. You open your book. You look at your notes in the margins. And you begin to process. You look at the conceptual information. You take out a blank piece of paper and you build your mind map. You look at the analogous information. You critique it. You ask your 3 questions. You open your second brain app. You store the evidence and the reference information that you found. You create your flashcards in your SRS app. You look at the procedural information. You make a plan to practice it. You schedule that practice in your calendar. I know what you might be thinking. Anna, this sounds like a lot of work. This takes extra time. And yes, you are right. It is an investment of time. A good rule to follow is this. For every 1 hour of reading, you do schedule 30 minutes of digestion. But please believe me, this is the time that matters most. This is the time that turns reading from a waste of time into a super high-value activity. This is the difference between forgetting 90% of a book and retaining 90% of a book. Which would you choose? Step 5, review and rehearse. Learning is not a one-time event. It is a process that continues. So your new workflow includes a little bit of review every day. Spend 10 minutes each day on your SRS reviews. This will lock the facts into your memory. Once a week, maybe on a Sunday, spend 30 minutes reviewing one of your mind maps. Look at it, explain it to yourself again. And most importantly, look for chances to use the information. Talk about the ideas with other people. Apply the advice to a problem you have. This is what makes the knowledge truly yours. It becomes a permanent part of who you are. For so many years, you have been trying to learn, but you were playing the game with a handicap. You were playing with one hand tied behind your back. You were focused on the wrong thing. You were focused on volume, on quantity, on speed. And you were ignoring the one process that actually creates knowledge. That process is digestion. You have been pouring water into that leaky bucket. You have been wondering why you are always thirsty for knowledge. Today that changes. This 2-stage system with the PACER framework is your plan. It is your blueprint for fixing that leaky bucket forever. It is a clear method, a method for turning the words on a page into deep, lasting, and useful knowledge in your mind. It is about knowing that every type of information needs a different kind of care. You now know that procedural knowledge must be practiced. You now know that analogous knowledge must be critiqued. You now know that conceptual knowledge must be mapped. And you now know that detailed evidence and reference data must be stored and rehearsed in a smart way. This system asks you to change. It asks you to slow down. It asks you to choose depth over speed. It asks you to choose understanding over volume. But the reward for this change is huge. The reward is the end of wasted reading, the end of the frustration of forgetting. It is the beginning of building a real library of knowledge in your mind, a library you can use to improve your health, your work, your relationships, every part of your life. You have the system now. You have the map. The only thing left to do is to take the first step. Start small. Don't try to do everything at once. Maybe with the next article you read, just try the immediate recap. Just try the 5-minute summary. Then, with the next book, try making one mind map. Start small, but please, start now. Take control of your learning. Stop being a passive consumer. Become an active architect of your knowledge. This is how you remember everything you read. You can do it. I believe in you. Thank you so much for listening today. We have learned a lot together. We learned about the leaky bucket of memory, and we learned how to fix it with a 2-stage system: consumption and digestion. We learned about the PACER framework. Remember, learning a new way of learning takes time. Be kind to yourself. Be patient. Every small step you take is a victory. Keep going. You are making progress every single day. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for being here. If this episode was helpful for you, please consider giving it a like or a follow. It helps other learners find our friendly community. And I have a question for you. What is one book you read that you wish you could remember better? Please share the title in the comments below. I love reading your comments, and I would be so happy to hear from you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Until we meet again, take good care. See you next time, my friend.